right, guys, here we go again with another of our Evolution Consulting market update videos, as they have come to be known. This one being recorded on the 20th of November. All right, so obviously time is somewhat irrelevant, apart from being a human construct, because it is, in fact, Sunday, so no market action today, obviously. And this is the first market update video we have done since the election. So for the first time, possibly in Evolution Consulting history, we are going to make the, what I'm going to call the delay reaction smug face. There. What else is there to say, guys? Did it again. Evolution 4.0, 8 months in advance, calls the outcome of an election pretty much flawlessly. All right, now that smug face would have been somewhat longer had we not seen something that was, I'm not going to use the word disturbing, but I'm going to use the word fascinating, okay? And that was to say, for those of you that subscribe to Wirehouse, this will be very familiar. Just going to be a quick paraphrasing of something we've already done a tremendous amount of research on, guys, which is, again, we're back again to the variable speed of information. For those that watched the election coverage on the evening of Election Day, November 8th, first of all, if you do identify as a conservative, you couldn't help but smile ear to ear to watch what I can only loosely describe as a Kentucky shit fight on mainstream media. I mean, just watching the meltdowns take place was just really kind of comical. And I'm going to introduce a new one of those phrases that we coin. All right, I call it the stack o' soup cans in the supermarket effect. It's like when you go around the corner in a supermarket and you just clip a stack of cans that you know are going to fall down, okay, and you just can't do a damn thing about it other than watch it and just kind of go, no, like that kind of thing. That was really, I mean, you have to realize when you see the information from the 4.0 system, guys, months and months and months in advance, and all of a sudden election night plays out, it's just like, who didn't see that coming? Oh, apparently them. But that was really kind of the deal, guys. But apart from calling the election pretty much flawlessly, one of the things that we saw, it was just absolutely mind-blowing, and we've never seen anything like it. Now, we did a write-up in, once again, we kind of returned to form, or returned to, kind of our typical editorial style with this most recent edition of Wirehouse, and pretty much just did one big, long, tell-it-like-it-is election analysis, which is, in my humble opinion, by far and away one of the best pieces we've ever produced, one of the best editions of Wirehouse we've ever produced from a something to read perspective or deep thought perspective. But the speed of information, guys, we literally watched an Evolution 4.0 election and market reaction forecast play out, and I don't know how to put this any other way. It played out in fucking fast forward. Okay, it was the most bizarre thing we've ever seen. Without getting into the excessive details or the proprietary details of how our system works, guys, I'll give you the 30-second version. It's not going to be 30 seconds at all, but nonetheless, bear with me here. Words and phrases, keywords, key strings, and key phrases on the linguistic side, okay, of how the Evolution 4.0 and Ultra system work. Okay, we use numerical quantifiers to describe, the effect of words, the strength of a key string, how frequently it's repeated, and where it fits into the grander scheme of something that we're trying to research, i.e., an election. Okay. Those are usually preceded by a numerical variable that starts with a decimal point, 0.4, 0.0, 0.03. We saw, in some cases, I'm not going to use the exact key string variables, okay, but we saw 2 point, 3 point, 4 point, 5 point, somewhat. That means, that you can effectively use that first number as an exponent. So as the election was going on, as the states were being reported, as the votes were being counted, we saw some of the key strings that we used in our research, guys, just go berserk, for lack of a more polite way of putting it, just go vertical, okay? And basically watch the market run 1,000 points up, down, if you count, Dow futures as an example. We watched, U.S. capital market index, Dow Jones Industrial Average, run effectively 1,000 points range, okay, up, down, in 12 hours. We watched gold have a $70 to $80 intraday, okay, variable, or intraday range, I should say. All right. The entire forecast, and the reason we put that market video, get clear of the markets, get clear of the indexes, because we kind of saw that coming, just not to the extent. All right. So the point of the story, though, guys, is the evening of November 8th is going down in history as one of the most bizarre and awesome things I have ever seen in my adult life in terms of technology. I mean, it was just, the speed of reaction was unlike anything we could have possibly imagined. All right, and to see that whole evolution forecast play out, because we've had one or two people say, well, you were wrong, gold didn't rally on a Trump win. It's like, yeah, it did. It just happened so fast that the ETFs that we often recommend that folks trade, they didn't have a chance to react. Okay, so what we saw there was that, to me, I'm just going to tell you the way it is, that to me was the first real speed of information election. Okay, now you can make the argument and say that, well, other campaigns have used social media, other campaigns have used technology, and yes, they certainly have. But to see that speed of reaction, guys, on November 8th, it was unlike anything I've ever seen before. I mean, even the rest of the dev team, we all just kind of said that we all made, I mean, it had to have been the world's longest collective what the fuck face. It was just, basically 5 hours of this. Huh? Is that right? Is this thing on? Like that kind of thing. It was the most ridiculous thing we've ever seen. But that speed of information, guys, and that speed of reaction, we've kind of written it off to two things. One is just how divided the nation is. Again, to see the contextual usage of a lot of those variable strings, guys, was just absolutely unreal. All right, and just to see how polarizing the language is, how polarizing the so-called Democrat and the so-called conservative and so-called Republican and Democrat and liberal, all that, just to see the linguistics go like that was just, again, I don't have any other way. Normally I have something really very clever and insightful to say. I have no other way of saying it other than it was just the most insane thing we've ever seen in our lives. At least in terms of the dev team. So the point of the story, though, guys, is the smug face would have been longer had we not actually been caught somewhat off guard by just how fast the market reacted. Okay, and we called it. I mean, we said, gold is going to run, markets are going to dip, and at one point in time we were up $50 on gold, and we were feeling very smug. And just to watch that reversal was just the most insane thing you can possibly imagine. So it played out back to the point where we said that it's going to take the markets a minute to realize that maybe Trump really isn't the worst thing ever to happen to capital markets, and that it's a bit of a shoot arrow, paint bullseye, self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing. And we watched that play out in 12 hours. So the point of the story, though, guys, is surprise, surprise, once again, credit where it's due. Talk about the Evolution 4.0 system, just nailing another one. That makes pretty much a flawless Fed forecast this year. We called Brexit. We called the election. We've called some of these equities now that are up around 100% return on investment and beyond. All right. So, again, it was just, and I described it on Twitter. I said it was just the most surreal thing I've ever seen. It was like, it was like freaking bullet time, But wild stuff, and here we go, guys. 4 years ostensibly, probably more, of President Trump. All right, and we said from day one he was picked for a reason. He was picked for a reason, and we're already starting to see why. Okay, again, I don't often agree with the so-called left wing, even though I don't identify as either a Republican or a Democrat or a conservative or a liberal. Okay. But Michael Moore said it best. Trump is the equivalent of throwing a Molotov cocktail at the collective establishment. And we're starting to see that happen already. And guys, I mean, even his cabinet and his staff appointments, Bannon and the other guy whose name escapes me at the moment, Jeff Sessions, these cabinet appointments, I mean, it's just, we called it. We said that is going... it's going to be consequences for several decades of politically correct and pretending that reality isn't. All right. And for those of you that are surprised that he won, all right, one word, guys, consequences. That's what he is. He is consequences. He's consequences for a politically correct culture. He's consequences for what happens when you try to use mainstream media to create a reality that doesn't really exist. Okay. And use language and use words and use euphemized language, okay, to pretend that something that is happening really isn't, all right? And then eventually, reality shows up, and thy name is Trump, okay? Deal with it. And we say, I mean, that's how we were able to forecast that just so far in advance, guys. I mean, apart from the Evolution 4.0 linguistics, when you saw the specific linguistics of why we forecasted that he was going to get elected, it was so obvious. And that's why, we've had a few folks on Twitter kind of say, it's not, guys, in reference to the Evolution dev team, it's not that you called the elections, it's that you've called it so far in advance with such confidence. And that's how we were able to do so. All right, but here we are, guys, 4 years of Trump at the very least, and probably more, to be quite honest with you. We've kind of joked around and we said the only thing that he has to do 2, maybe 3 things, and he's guaranteed a second term. All right, it's very simple. If he repeals Obamacare and lays 1 brick for a border wall, that's it. He could sit back, relax, and just twiddle his thumbs for the next 4 years, and just waltz into office. All right, for the next go around. All right, that's really it. I mean, 2 out of 3. I mean, you lay 1 brick for a wall, you repeal Obamacare, and you do even something vaguely about ISIS, which I think his solution to ISIS is going to be, hey, Vlad, have at it, bud. Let us know if you need help. Okay? That's really what it's going to come down to. All right, so here we go. All right, and for those of you that are wondering what happened to gold and silver, talk about some of the stuff that matters, once again, like our own personal trading portfolio. Okay, for those of you that are wondering what in the hell happened to gold, I have to laugh. I mean, we got gold around 1,200 again. We seen this before? All right, we called it once, guys. All right, well, more than once now, but most recently we were on Dr. Janda's show. And that was 2 days prior to Election Day. We said, hey, remember we told you 1,300 was going to happen again? It did. And here we are back around 1,200. Okay? Just deep thought of the moment. All right? And we've seen gold dip, right? Because now it's all of a sudden market security. And now we're in the middle of a currency war, the beginning of a currency war, guys, which is, I should almost do another market update video, but I'm probably going to talk a little bit about here. A bet against gold at this point, guys, just think about this for a second. Well, all other things aside, all right, and once again, I could do the next 5 hours talking about why it's probably now gold and silver metals valuations went from a very strong possibility to an even stronger inevitability. All right, but we'll save that maybe for another market update. But all other things aside, let's think logically for a second. Anybody right now betting against the rising valuations of precious metals, gold and silver, you're effectively making the bet that Trump was chosen. Notice I say that. Chosen to be a status quo president. To really not change anything. That's a bet I wouldn't take. All right? You don't put a lunatic like him in office unless you want chaos. Unless you're about to make a major social engineering change. And that's what he is. He is he's a walking nuclear weapon to an existing political paradigm. And now all of a sudden the articles are coming out, which I think is hilarious because we were 2 years ahead of it. He says, did America just elect its first independent candidate? Or independent presidential candidate? Let me check. Yep, you did do. You did do that. That happened. All right. And credit where it's due to Deb at Bankster Slayer, if you want to follow a great Twitter account, at Bankster Slayer. I was on her show recently, and she goes something to the effect of, America just elected an independent candidate that just happens to call himself a Republican. And it's like, yep. And again, there goes your two-party, political system, your two-party political paradigm, the this or that paradigm. That just went right out the window. All right, and here we are, counting down. And the funny thing is, I mean, even right after the elections, when the Never Trump and Not My President riot started and everything, I was just like, guys, you're just fucking making it easy for me at this point. I mean, again, Evolution 4.0, we called it. Guys that have been reading Wirehouse 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months in advance of this, you're watching this play out, and you're just kind of going, yep. Yep, hang on a sec. Yep, okay, and now, yep. I mean, it was that accurate. All right, but the point of the story, though, is we're already seeing the effect. He hasn't even taken office yet. That's what I think is hilarious. Look at the social blowback and the social mayhem and how many different cities started as just a result of him winning. Okay? And, speaking of him winning, you can call 300 and some, you can call it a landslide if you want if you're a Trump supporter, but we'll freely admit we thought it was going to be closer, right? In terms of the electorate votes and in terms of how the election played out. We knew he was going to win. We just thought it was going to be a little closer. That was I don't want to call it a landslide, but that was pretty much a one-sided beatdown. All right. But nonetheless, he won. And you look at that social blowback. He hasn't even started started yet. Okay? He hasn't even put pen to paper yet in any sort of meaningful legislation. He hasn't put pen to paper yet in any sort of major policy changes. And already, you got the not my president, never Trump, and you got all that starting. Now he's starting with the cabinet appointments, and people are just going completely batshit over that. And it's like, at what point in time are people going to realize that's what he's designed to do? He is a demolition man to the U.S. political paradigm. And he's not the only one. I'm sure there's going to be more after him. But he is certainly the point man for, destroying an existing political paradigm system in a nation. All right. And already now he's starting in with, he's looking forward to improving East-West relationships, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, yep, Yeah, Japan is another one. Japan making a pivot towards China. Whew, where have I seen that before? Right, that was Wirehouse last year. But the point of the story, though, guys, again, I don't know how to put it any other way. Here we go. All right. And as far as this being kind of a combination info and market update, again, we're going to suggest that folks just stay clear of the market. It's just until we see enough information suggesting that, all right, screw it, we're going for Dow 20,000, and then that's just the way there is. Because basically what we watched, guys, is so far, and this is based upon a lot of Evolution 4.0 information research as well as input from our network of experts. Okay, so far the market has rallied. Dow and the S&P and NASDAQ and all that. So far, markets have rallied predicated entirely upon the fact that the earth didn't explode as a result of Trump winning. It was like elation, all right? That, somehow the earth didn't just blow up as the result of Trump winning. And it's like, holy shit, life goes on. I mean, fuck, we can trade the market again. And that's pretty much what happened, guys. There's no real, once again, what changed on a real fundamental economic level, or what major economic metric or financial metric changed from prior to November 8th to after November 8th? And the answer, in the words of Coach Jim Mora, is exactly diddly poo. All right, not a goddamn thing changed. All right, same shit, different face for now. But in terms of the moving forward, guys, as much as I would love to tell you, pile on back in and okay, let's go in for the next leg and next rally up and all that good stuff. We're going to recommend, and we're going to do our switch and signal this evening. We're going to recommend that people sit back, relax, chill for a little bit, and just let the market figure out what it's going to do, because we're starting to see the beginning of currency wars. Okay, real meaningful currency wars. Okay, and that's going to bode well for gold, because it's just that's another complete Occam's razor equation, where once you start coming down the other side of the bell curve in a currency war, okay, where it becomes, again, it's a race to the bottom just in a different form. That's going to do very well for precious metals, not necessarily in the very near term, but again, a bet against metals at this point, guys, is a bet that Trump is going to do. It's going to be completely status quo. Nothing out of the ordinary is going to happen. I personally wouldn't take the other side of that bet. I really wouldn't. Okay, so with that being said, speaking of, guys, something else that we discovered that was really interesting too, and maybe we should save this for an info update, but we're not going to, because again, I'm not going to be doing as many of these market update videos anymore. As you can tell, we've been suddenly dangerously and very ominously quiet on Twitter here and there, and that is solely because, you guys, we just have a ton of other stuff that we're working on now. But something that we're going to call the Super Bowl effect. Okay, and that was something else that we discovered election night that was really interesting. The way markets reacted, guys, we're calling it the Super Bowl effect. All right, and we talked a little bit about this on Bankster Slayer's radio podcast. Okay, is election, the evening of election day. Okay, we watched markets go effectively about as close to batshit crazy as we've ever seen. Okay, for 12 hours, and then it was like nothing happened. Okay. So we've coined the phrase the Super Bowl effect, which is a new, I don't want to call it new, we're probably not the first folks to notice that, but, in terms of the way markets reacted, it was almost like the way a sports team wins. That's where we get that phrase, the Super Bowl effect, from. It's like when a sports team wins. City goes nuts, there's partying, there's reveling, maybe there's a parade the next day or two, and then everything goes back to normal. I mean, for fuck's sake, the Cubs just won the World Series. And speaking of the planet didn't explode, the Cubs won the World Series, okay? And Chicago went berserk for a couple of days and then went back to normal. Okay, and that's almost kind of what happened with the election. It's like, holy shit, Trump won. Markets went nuts, metals went nuts, and it was like, oh, all right, back to normal. The thing is, unlike a sports team win, okay, You guys just elected Donald Trump for the next 4 years as a president. A far departure from anything that's ever been seen politically thus far in this country. That isn't like a 2 or 3 day thing where, there's a parade and there's, a celebration, maybe there's some ticker tape, and then everything goes back to normal, guys. That is 4 years of that guy waking up any day and being able to move metals 4 digits in one day. How's that sound? How's that for a reality check? All right, that's the way it is now. All right, that guy can wake up with the stroke of a pen or with an announcement, a press conference, a policy or a legislation shift, can literally move gold $1,000 in a day. That is a fact. Okay? And again, to see people going, oh yeah, no need to buy gold now. Everything's going to be perfectly normal. It's like, really? Okay. I know how it works out for you. Again, we forecast him to be a bit of a demolition man. Is the GER going to happen on his presidency? Yes, probably, most likely, inevitably. All right. And there's a reason for that. And again, I'm not going to get into the details of it here. If you guys are interested in that super deep level stuff, we do encourage you to subscribe to Wirehouse. We're coming up on the December edition. The November edition was very awesome. The December edition is going to be the last one in current format, guys. So it's going to be about 1.5 years we've been doing those. All right, so we'll be reformatting Wirehouse in, for January 1st. We also have our metals guide. So thanks to obviously to everybody that's been subscribing and pre-ordering, and really obviously after the election, as you guys might imagine, we got a bit of attention. The good kind. The folks are finally noticing, going, holy hell, that's about 1 year now of pretty much flawless, major geopolitical events forecasting. So again, talk about having some fun during a proof of concept phase. Well, we proved our point, and can continue to do so. So, that being said, though, guys, folks that are wondering what the hell happened to metals, wait for it. Rest of the market, guys, we're just going to kind of sit back and we're going to chill for a little bit. All right. And again, it's just I really, in good conscience, can't encourage folks to pile back in the market, except for, again, the sectors that we mentioned. If you're averaging down and you're buying up those metals ETFs because you're seeing $1,200 metal and you're seeing $6 and $7 and $8 JNUG going, there's 2 ways to react to that, going, oh, gee whiz, I'm down in a position 50%, or you can go, oh, hell yeah, I can lower my cost average even more before the inevitable happens. It's 2 totally different ways of looking at it, guys. I'm not going to get into the details of that here. As speaking of being right, if you guys took a look at some of the chaos portfolio stuff that we recommended, I mean, that certainly got a reaction. The Smith & Wesson Strum Ruger, even after the dip, it was just like doink, came right back up. So those chaos plays, those are on, guys, and that I have a funny suspicion based upon what I've seen, just historically speaking, and then of course vis-a-vis the Evolution 4.0 system, guys. Those anti-Trump protests, guys, that was just a little bit of a preview. Okay, that's the reaction he generated on winning. All right, again, didn't touch pen to paper yet, no announcements, press conferences, legislative orders, anything like that. That was just him winning. All right, so if you think you've seen the last of that stuff, it hasn't even begun yet. All right, so of course, guys, that being said, switch and signal, Wirehouse, please do subscribe. We are in the process of this whole week. We actually, in the interest of delivering the most accurate product we could, guys, we're actually compiling a lot of the written stuff, not the information research, but the written stuff we're actually compiling this week for some of our Grant Street Note stuff, certainly for our podcast. We've been recording those and, working hard on those. So that's going to be your access pretty much to Evolution 4.0 information. All right, and beyond that, January 8th, I will be back on Dr. Janda's show for some post-election smugness. And that's where we're at, guys. So we'll keep you posted. Like I said, we've been in kind of information overload. The kind of linguistics that we research with the Evolution 4.0 system, because after election day, I mean, many orders of magnitude greater in terms of information that we have to be able to use to research the stuff that we need to research, which has just been, again, when you forecast something and then you actually see it happen, especially if you're, the guys that develop the friggin' program, there's something surreal about that. So this has been a very rewarding month for us. We've been having a hell of a lot of fun, and we continue to have a hell of a lot of fun. And that's something I mentioned to the dev team, guys. I said, after that Trump win, I said, and just seeing just how damn accurate the system we built is, we're back to having fun doing this. All right, and I'm not going to lie, it can get monotonous after a while, but we are sure as hell back to having fun doing what we do, and we hope that shows in the information that we share and our subscription stuff and our Grant Street notes. So we're really going the extra mile this year, guys, to, hopefully that, the enthusiasm that we have now is reflected in the work that we produce. So that being said, again, guys, I don't know how to tell this any other way, but told you so. For those of you that didn't think he was going to win, told you so. Smug faces all around. But again, guys, thank you for watching. If you do like what you see, do hit the little like button down there. Actually, don't. I give a rat's ass. But if you'd like to email us, somewhere over there. Is it? There it is. Holy hell, it's snowing. That's not cool. Info at evolutionconsulting.world. Info at evolutionconsulting.world. Please do email us. Gotten a lot of very nice compliments and a lot of really, really nice feedback as a result of this most recent election call. Okay. And of course, if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're not as active on there anymore, but we still do share some stuff. It is at that doohickey at Evo Consultants. At Evo Consultants. All right. If you wish to follow along on Twitter, as always, guys, told you so. Be good. Everything really is a transaction.